On behalf of the TC alumni community, I would like to welcome you all back to campus for Academic Festival 2013. It's our annual homecoming event. So thank you for attending this special luncheon where we will honor this year's distinguished alumni. Now, the terrific thing about this day is that so many of us, alumni, faculty, students, administrators, and trustees, have the chance to get together to learn more about and discuss issues that matter. This year, we celebrate our 125th anniversary and the tradition of learning that continues on at Teachers College, propelling us to the next generation. I hope you were able to join us this morning where we pay tribute to the enduring legacy that Lawrence Kremen created. We were honored to have with us today his esteemed panel of students and especially his wife, Charlotte. This morning, during the first round of breakout sessions, you also had the opportunity to explore several different schools of thought. We of the Alumni Association were especially proud to have played a role in shaping the discussion led by our fellow alumna and president of Teachers College, Susan Furman. She was joined by a panel of college and university presidents who were also TC alumni, by the way. They discussed the changing landscape of higher education in the 21st century. Now, our association is also proud to feature two of our own members in the Global Engagement panel that highlighted TC's international study programs in the past, present, and future, Marianne Boltby and Peter Mook. So there's going to be much more to come and to think about in the afternoon sessions, from hands-on art workshops to interactive sessions on avatars and mobile devices, from learning healthy habits for wellness to the changing face of leadership. And please attend the plenary session immediately following this luncheon, where President Furman and a handful of our TC faculty will illuminate the next generation of Teachers College. So, we have a full program here today, so I ask you without further delay to enjoy the meal before you. The Distinguished Alumni Awards ceremony will begin shortly. Enjoy.
You do know already that Teachers College is the place where the song Happy Birthday came from. What you don't know is that President Susan Furman's birthday is today. So I want you to sing with me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Susan. Happy birthday to you.
One of the things we love about this day is that it brings old friends back together, and you're all making new friends. So I apologize for breaking up the conversations at your table, but hope you'll continue to reconnect with each other throughout the day. So before we begin this awards presentation, I'd like to take a few moments to recognize my colleagues who serve on the Alumni Council. Now, this is the leadership board of your Alumni Association. There's a list of our membership and information about how to get involved with the council in your program today. So I want to acknowledge all of the council members who are here serving as alumni ambassadors here on campus today. If you want to identify us, we're all wearing a special ribbon on our name tags. So please, seek us out if you're interested in learning more about how to stay engaged with the college. Our council has several committees that work very actively to reconnect alumni to Teachers College in partnership with the Office of Alumni Relations. So I also want to especially recognize our Alumni Awards and Recognition Committee led by Diana Newman and Mitchell Thompson. It's really their work that brings us all here today. This committee has the difficult task of reviewing nominations and selecting the award recipients we honor each year. It's a role they take very seriously, and as you can see, they've done an exceptional job this year. So we encourage you all to think about the extraordinary TC alumni people that you know are really making a difference in their fields. And we hope, and seriously, hope you'll consider submitting a nomination perhaps next year. There might be someone you know that you could submit a name for consideration. So you'll find the form for submitting that nomination in the next edition of TC Today, and which will be coming out later this spring, or you can also do that online. So at this time, I'd like to welcome President Furman to the podium to say a few words on behalf of the administration.
So thank you all and welcome, and thank you for that birthday song. It's wonderful to be 125. So Academic Festival shines several spotlights. It is a chance to showcase all the wonderful inquiry, ideas, the ferment that's here at TC, all the creativity. It's a great way to shine a spotlight on our faculty and students and our trustees and donors who make this all possible. And of course, Academic Festival gives us a stage to celebrate the accomplishments of our alumni, whose leadership and accomplishments across so many fields make the world a better place. You know, the theme for this Academic Festival is celebrating a tradition for tomorrow. So we have a chance to look at alumni who have established a tradition, carrying on Teachers College tradition, and paving the way for a better tomorrow. Today we're going to honor a small group of alumni who have especially distinguished themselves in their different areas of endeavor. These remarkable women and men span a range of interests and strengths, and they are receiving a very prestigious honor. I know because I once got one. And through the hard work of the Alumni Council and the Awards and Recognition Committee, who chose peers to honor, to shine a spotlight on their accomplishments. So thank you, and we're about to meet our distinguished alumni.
As she mentioned, a TC faculty member representing the field of study of each alum will read a citation for each of our honorees. So you'll find a list of each of these faculty members in your program. So now I'd like to call up Tom James, Provost and Dean of the college, to come up to the podium and present our first award.
Thank you, Adam. Jody Gottfried Arnhold. You have not only imagined a vision where we encourage young people's artistry and also their creativity and humanity, but you have also devoted your more than 25 years as a dance educator, administrator, advocate, and enthusiast to making it a reality. As Kate Levin, Commissioner of the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, said, you have reached thousands of students, dancers, choreographers, and educators throughout the 5 boroughs with your transformative work in dance education. In doing so, you have drawn on your own extraordinarily rich dance education. As a child, you studied with Erika, who turned each class into an adventure of dance making. As an undergraduate, you attended the University of Wisconsin, where a young woman named Margaret Dobler created the nation's first dance major. Dobler had previously spent a year at Teachers College, honing her knowledge of the human body into a pedagogy designed to help dancers express their feelings through movement. You too studied dance education at Teachers College before heading off to teach in the New York City public schools. It was a time when funding for the arts was painfully scarce. Yet you found a principal who wanted dance in his school, and a colleague who introduced you to Laban movement analysis, which values movement as a means of individual self-expression. Dance, in your words, had become the heart and soul of that school. So you resolved to work similar magic on a broader scale. You have done so as founding director of the 92nd Street Y's Dance Education Laboratory, which trains and supports teachers, as chairman of the Ballet Hispanico, which has doubled in size on your watch, and as co-chair of the committee to draft the New York City Department of Education curriculum blueprint for teaching and learning in dance. As the journal Dance Teacher magazine noted, name a dance-related initiative and chances are Arnhold is involved in it. Recently, you initiated a grant to the Fund for Public Schools to provide dance teachers with mentoring, an education stipend, and a toolkit of instructional resources. You have created the Arnhold Dance Fellows Program, which identifies current teaching fellows and helps them add a dance license to their teacher certification. You chair the Hunter College Dance Education Advancement Committee, working with Hunter's president, Jennifer Robb, to launch new graduate dance education programs. And you have vowed to bring a certified dance teacher into every public school in this city. Jody, Gottfried, Arnhold, they say it takes two to tango. We say New York City's lucky to have you as its partner for moving so many people and for getting so many people to move. Teachers College is proud to present you with the 2013 Distinguished Alumni Award.
Thank you so much. I am delighted to be here today. I cannot thank you enough for this award. For me, the master's program created links between dance and education and sent me off with a goal of teaching dance in a public school. Pretty unheard of at the time. My unique experience here was the bridge and the gateway to my life's work in dance education. My mission became clear: a quality, sequential dance education for every child in every school. I need a big idea to make my mission a reality. I hope that someday that big idea will come from Teachers College. Our dance education program at Teachers College changed the face of dance education in this country. Dance educators flocked here to study with the early pioneers in the field. These artist educators returned to their universities with the tool to inspire generations, including many of the influential leaders of today. Your recognition of my work propels me to ask the esteemed leadership of Teachers College to reaffirm a commitment to dance education. Teachers College provides excellence in educational preparation for our teachers and school administrators. Let us reconfirm our deep commitment to the importance of arts in education, and especially the importance of dance in the development of young people in America. Let the leadership of Teachers College say STEAM, not STEM. Science, technology, education, the arts, and math. TC provides the intellectual and emotional impact that enables a student to go forth and create opportunities for others. That is the benefit of an outstanding experience in higher education, as a stone thrown in the water creates a ripple effect. Thank you. I am forever grateful. Thank you.
And now I'd like to call up Ann Bohm, Emeritus Professor of Psychology and Education.
Susan J. Spungin, Teachers College prides itself on its impact at the levels of research, practice, and policy. You have met and surpassed that exacting standard by not only contributing to, but shaping and defining an entire field. As the editors of the Journal of Visual Impairment have written, your work has elevated the quality of educational programs for visually impaired students, as well as the professional development of the educators who work with them, and has had an unmatched impact on the lives of children with visual impairments, their families, and professionals. You began your career as an elementary teacher and formally concluded it 44 years later with your retirement as Vice President for International Programs and Special Projects at the American Foundation for the Blind. Your contributions, however, will reverberate for decades to come. You shaped both the research and policy work of the Foundation, including many of its national programs. As an educator and consultant, you identified issues affecting blind, deafblind, and severely visual impaired children and youth. You partnered with schools, agencies, and state departments of education, universities, and the federal government to establish urgently needed competencies and standards. Indeed, if the standards define the field, your legacy will both be timeless and borderless. You have established competency-based curricula for universities in the United States, created parameters for training teachers to work with blind and low vision children, set guidelines for public schools after the passage of the mainstreaming legislation of 1975, and helped formalize the work of state vision consultants, instructional materials centers for the blind, preschool programs for early childhood education for the blind, and public school psychologists. You have consulted on teaching of Braille in nations ranging from Bulgaria to New Zealand, and you have helped found the National Association for Parents of Children with Visual Impairments, and international membership organizations serving families in some 55 countries. And this vast body of work, you have never wavered as a sighted person in your conviction that your efforts must be guided by the needs of those you have served. Susan J. Spungin. Others will be inspired by your example, but they cannot replicate your accomplishments. You have shaped and defined an entire field and will be the giant on whose shoulders they stand. For your profound contributions as a teacher, a leader, a communicator, and perhaps above all, a stateswoman in the field of education and service to people who are blind or visually impaired, Teachers College is proud to present you with the 2013 Distinguished Alumni Award.
Thank you, Anne, for that incredible introduction. I'm exhausted just hearing it. Thank you to all my guests who have come, in particular Eugene McMahon and others. My brief presentation, i.e. 15 minutes, is going to be a combination of a little levity, I hope, and some seriousness. Virtually 3 days from now, on my birthday, April 16th, in 1975, some 38 years ago, oh my God, I took the IRT subway up Broadway from my Washington Square apartment to defend my dissertation on competency-based education for universities, training programs, teaching students who wished to teach children who were blind or visually impaired. I wore a very roomy A-line dress in black with white polka dots, with pearls to play with during the Inquisition, much as one would use worry beads. I had just given birth to unexpected twins, my son Jesse and my second daughter, twin B, Meredith. Meredith's older sister, Jennifer, was at home, not at all sure about any of this. The twins were in the NICU at Mount Sinai, and they both weighed less together than their older sister, Jennifer, did when she was born 6 years earlier. On February 5th, 1975, Meredith weighed in at a whopping 860 grams, or 6 sticks of butter, and the length of a ruler. Jesse weighed in a whopping 5 pounds and 15 inches long. Now, as we speak, Jesse is 6. I have pounds here, but that's not true. Jesse is 6 feet and 15 inches long, and has his MBA, and Meredith is 4 feet 11 inches with a master's in foreign relations from Georgetown University. They were transfusion twins, and the rest of the story is for another time. But they worked out and are wonderful. As you might imagine, confusion reigned, not only at the hospital, at home, at work, and at teachers' college. Here we had carefully planned the arrival of our second and last child, and 2 minutes for a third. So we had planned 6 years before we would have another child so I could finish my dissertation. Dr. Robert Bowers, head of the Vision Program, and I shared the same birthday and agreed the date of April 16th would be perfect for my defense, for both of us, assuming, of course, I passed. Why do you need to know about this? My best advice to those of you that are still all but dissertation is to get pregnant before your defense. Preferably having multiple births, which is easier now. It makes a huge impact. How can I believe some 38 years earlier I would be standing here accepting this honor on the 125th anniversary of Teachers College, Columbia University? I would particularly like to thank Dr. Kay Farrell, my friend and supporter for over many years, for nominating me for this prestigious award. I was and is one of the lucky ones, being blessed with a life's journey that has given me more than I could ever dreamed of or given back. As a result, in the 1960s and the Kennedy years, with his emphasis on civil rights for all, including the population of the disabled, none of my time at Teachers College would have existed without those fellowships and stipends. Those were the days of the Bureau of the Education of the Handicapped, of Ed Martin. In 1976, I was privileged to represent the American Foundation for the Blind, being one of many to craft the final regulations for the law then known as Public Law 94-142. To this day, I kick myself for not asking more for our low-incidence children, but eventually it did happen to a degree. Teachers College, under Dr. Francis Connor leadership, helped to establish the Council of Educational Children here in the Special Education Department, celebrated by a plaque that I hope continues to be displayed with pride and not mistakenly covered over with signage for meetings. Teachers College was the leading place to be for teacher training in special education, with research under Dr. Leonard Blackman, training for the deaf and hard of hearing with Dr. Ann Mulholland, training for work with the then called crippled and other health impaired, have we not come a long ways, with Dr. Fran Connor, training in learning disabilities with Dr. Joe Shepard, training in the then called mentally retarded with Dr. Ignacy Goldberg, statistics with Dr. Thorndike, and I'm sure it was his son, and the beginnings of the Early Childhood Center. What a place to be, not to mention Dr. Robert Bowers, my advisor heading up teacher training for individuals teaching students with visual impairments. The only other person I would have preferred is Dr. Kay Farrell, who did at a later time coordinate the vision program. Josephine Taylor, then at the Bureau of the Education, is Dr. Kay Farrell, who did at a later time coordinate the vision program. Josephine Taylor, then at the Bureau of the Education of the Handicapped, formerly my boss at the then called New Jersey Commission for the Blind, arranged for my summer transfer from Teachers College to Teachers College from San Francisco State University, where I studied with Georgia Lee Abel, off to the Teachers College Summer Institute on Technology at MIT in 1967, the beginning of Braille production, the beginning of rapid speech, the beginning of technology, an experience I will never forget. Working full-time at AFB starting in 1972 and going to TC in the evening was a challenge, but I would not trade a minute of it. To think the only way I ended up in special education came when I had to decide what my topic was to be when I was getting my master's thesis in music at San Francisco State University in the Creative Arts Department, where I was a vocalist, harpsichordist, and music education major, allowing to put food on the table. What topic could it be? Baroque fingering for the bassoon? So being somewhat methodical, I went through the Grove's Dictionary of Music and Musicians, starting with the letter A. And next came to B. Voila! Braille music. And the race was on. I walked over to the special education department and asked to take music Braille, learning that as prerequisites, literary, math, and foreign language Braille were required. Bringing the two departments of special education and the creative arts program together was a challenge, but well worth it. So to this day, Braille has always been my thing. Its continuation, technological production, and reading machines called note takers, as well as low-tech production, especially in developing countries. I had no blind or low-vision relative or friend that sent me on my career path, just my love of codes, be they music notes or Braille cells, and how they work together. I have had a wonderful professional life, working nationally and internationally. In the last 15 years, it has been mostly international, working in developing countries such as Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand, and other nations, where their governments exhibited the prerequisite criteria, allowing for the doability of creating and implementing models of inclusive programs for all children who were disabled. At first, I helped to start inclusive programs only for children who were blind and visually impaired, but learned early on that these systematic changes of this magnitude must involve all parts of the government, all children, and all families, both disabled and non-disabled. I have been honored to work with the United Nations, with UNESCO, with the World Health Organization, that concur that human rights for all, including the world's population of people with disabilities, is a right. In conclusion, I do leave with a few concerns. They all seem to stem from, at least in my head, and this may age me, the philosophy found in No Child Left Behind. The concept of success gives some the impression that by seemingly joining special education together with regular education is a sign of success. In my opinion, this is not research-based, as is true as the lack of empirical evidence for mainstreaming and inclusion, for that matter. But unlike others, I do not believe, as some of my colleagues do, that inclusion is mainstreaming with a vengeance, but rather a good model when there are sufficient numbers of trained teachers who can support children with unique needs. Pull out is not a dirty word. Push out is. I have always felt teachers trained to work with children with learning disabilities are the best. But to believe all teachers of all children will have the same depth of knowledge and skills as a great goal, but not a reality, will be in my lifetime. My older daughter, Dr. Jennifer Kehoe, teaches in the inner city of Rochester, New York, and her stories make my hair curl. Most teachers in that locale are guards in fear of their life. They need to be trained teachers with knowledge of behavior management, which would include situations like what to do when students just released from jail show up at your doorstep. In addition, I also worry about the future of teacher training delivery systems in all education, but especially in special education. At the same time, the flux and lack of standards for accreditation for all our educational institutes concerns me as well. The work to be done in education is overwhelming, and it takes me back to the time when in the late 60s the book, Why Johnny Can't Read, came out and spearheaded the movement to competency-based education. The world, yes, the world, needs models of excellence and technology and online instruction, and must remember that online instruction is a process, not a content area. The teacher always has and always will be front and center of the educational process. And although some students may seem entitled and not wanting to move from their computers, I continue to hear a faint roar out there saying to me at the same time, I want more face-to-face instruction. More than ever, some hybrid online programs must give me some more. As my dear friend and nominator, Dr. Kay Farrell, recently posed the question, why would countries around the world want to send their students to universities in the United States to learn when they, in some cases, can stay in their own country and go online? Technology is wonderful, but let us not use it. Let us use it as one of the many tools to succeed in the most complicated and highest goal the world can have, that of educating each other. Again, thank you very much.
And now I'd like to call up Lalitha Vasudevan, Associate Professor of Technology and Education.
Chong Kim. You once observed that Korean cooking employs the concept of yin and yang to arrive at a nutritionally balanced and delicious meal. As an educator and administrator, you have likewise balanced multiple interests to repeatedly create endeavors that are greater than the sum of their parts. As president of South Korea's Hanyang University from 1993 to 2011, you applied both a global and multidisciplinary approach on two fronts, creating both a curriculum that balanced liberal arts, technology, and sports, and an exceptional partnership between academic researchers and industry. Indeed, with the establishment of the Erika campus in Ansan, you turned an underperforming industrial zone into a thriving technology hub that achieved some $6.6 billion in technology transfers. Hanyang University ranked 4th in 2009 in the number of alumni serving as CEOs and executives of Korea's top 100 companies. You have also balanced your academic achievements with your commitment to the sports world. Currently, you serve as both vice chairman of the Korean Olympic Committee and president of the Korean University Sports Board. You served as vice president of the Korean Amateur Baseball Association, vice president of the organizing committee of the 1996 Winter Universiade, and assessor for the International University Sports Federation. Your accomplishments as university administrator, as well as your ability to forge collaborative relationships between academia and industry, have been recognized around the world. You hold honorary doctorates from the Institute of Far Eastern Studies in Russia, from Waseda University in Japan, from Maryville College in Tennessee, to name just a few. You have also received the Global Korea Award, the Order of Civil Merit Moranjang Award, the Cross Order of Merit, and the Mongolian Order of Social Service Merit for showcasing Hanyang University as a model for academic, technology, and athletics excellence. And not least among your accomplishments, as president from 2009 to 2011 of the Columbia University Alumni Association in Korea, you helped ensure that TC's alumni community would continue to be balanced by a strong Korean contingent. Chong Kim, leadership in any capacity is, by definition, a difficult balancing act. For redefining on a national and global stage the power of balance in education, commercial science, and athletics, Teachers College is proud to present you with the 2013 Distinguished Alumni Award.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, fellow alumni, faculty and staff, and of course, President Foreman. Happy birthday, 125th. I'm Chong Kim, chairman of the Hanyang University Foundation. I took a 14 hours flight from Korea only for this event, because this honor from Teachers College is most meaningful in my life to me. I'm pleased and honored to be selected as a distinguished alumnus. I was told that I am the first Korean receiving this award, and I accept it with gratitude and a deep sense of humility. Since I graduated from the Teachers College in 1983, I have been a professor in the College of Education of Hanyang University and served as a university president for 20 years at the Hanyang University in Korea. During my presidency, Hanyang University became one of the top 5 competitive universities in Korea. This achievement was only possible through the excellent educational leadership which I had learned from Teachers College of Columbia University. I'm still firmly believing that John Dewey's philosophy, which is that education is the fundamental method of social progress and reform, which phrase in place on the main gate of the main building. Indeed, I'm grateful to all the professors, staffs, and friends back in 1980, 1982, and 1983, especially to Dr. Kremin, President of Teachers College, distinguished professors, Dr. Lieberman, Dr. Professor Belloc, Professor Maxine Green. She's still teaching in age of 1960? I don't know exactly, but anyway. Professor Phoenix, Professor Lang, who is my advisor in the field of instruction and technology. It is wonderful to be back on this beautiful campus. It still holds so many great memories for me, even though it has been 3 decades since I graduated. I do remember the supervisor and staffs in the library, classroom, bookstore, video hall, Russell Hall, the dormitory. I shall never forget wonderful people and excellent education at Teachers College. Thank you again for this honor. The award is the greatest honor in my whole life that has ever been bestowed upon me. I will continue my endeavor to live and work to the standards of Teachers College of Columbia University. Thank you so much.
And now I'd like to call up Robbie McClintock, Emeritus Professor in the Historical and Philosophical Foundations of Education.
Bobby Souser, like many aspiring high school rock musicians, you tried to unsuccessfully sell your music to your favorite groups. But soon, you would succeed in actually composing for many of those artists. But it is especially fitting that in 1998, when Ben King, lead singer for Dion and the Drifters, finally recorded the entire collection of your songs, the album was one for children. I have songs in my pocket. Indeed, in a hugely successful career that has spanned nearly the entire history of rock and roll, you've made your most significant mark, writing high-quality, inspirational music for children. You achieved fame by co-producing with your childhood friend, Paul Simon, 4 hit singles for the group Tico and the Triumphs. The song Motorcycle was your first Billboard 100 hit. You went on to become a songwriter in New York's famous Brill Building, where in 1963 you wrote, produced, and sold the master recording of Kiss Me Now, a Phil Spector-style song popularized by Florence DeVore and was recorded in 1976 by Diana Ross. You wrote and produced tunes for major recording artists of the day and also wrote the anti-drug novelty song, Once You Understand, which sold 1.4 million records in the US and reached the top 5 in England and Germany, and has since been sampled by hip-hop artists such as Biz Markie, Asen, For Hero, De La Soul. As you played and spoke at schools and religious institutions, you were inspired to redirect your efforts towards a new audience, Drawing on jazz, show music, reggae, and folk rock, you have since recorded 25 albums aimed at the younger set, including Bikewell Bear and St. Jude, an anthem for the world-renowned St. Jude Children's Hospital. Embracing a new role that combined the skills of educator, composer, and performer, you enrolled at Teachers College and ultimately received a master's degree in communication and education. Bobby Susser, they say rock and roll is for the young at heart. In light of your work, we hereby amend that to include the very young at heart as well. For your exceptional achievements as a children's songwriter for nearly 5 decades, Teachers College is proud to present you with the 2013 Distinguished Alumni Award.
First, happy birthday, Dr. Furman. Yeah, and I want to thank Herman Rosen and Paula Rosen for inviting me into their home last night. I really appreciate that. There was just a little event last night. I don't want anybody to think I stayed overnight. You know, this is a pretty big day. The memories I have of this school are just fantastic, and it made me start thinking of my teachers. Wonderful, wonderful, giving and generous people. First comes to my mind is Lucy Calkins and Bob Schussler. And of course, this man who introduced me, Robbie Clintock, he was kind of a superhero to me. I think he still is. And of course, the ones who are no longer with us, but they're never forgotten. Lawrence Kremen, Lou Forsdale, Harry Passo, and Marshall McLuhan. Pretty impressive group. I'd like to thank 2 women who have never, ever let me fall off the edge. My mother and my wife. And I would like to thank my children and my grandchildren. They're not all here, but I would like to thank all of them. For those of you who know anything about me, you know that I often talk about the importance of home. In my songs, I write about them, I sing about them. I think I've conveyed that message to young children in most of, well, a lot of my songs. And the reason I bring this up is because I feel, after all these years, I feel pretty much at home here, and I always did. I remember years ago, I would be recording in a recording studio all day, maybe about 5 miles south of here in Manhattan, or if I weren't doing that, I would be running up and down the Brill Building or 1650 Broadway. I was going to say, hoping that the publishers would accept my songs, but I think I was begging at the time. Then there were other days I would venture over to the east side of Manhattan, and I would expect, or I would hope for the same, because on the east side there were many, I think there still are, there were many publishers who published songs for the Broadway theater. But no matter what I did during the course of the day, no matter what, I was always happy at the end of the day, because I knew that I was heading up to this building. This place was very special for me, still is. It's the place that I discovered that while I write songs for country people and rock and roll people and pop people, rhythm and blues, and even novelty songs that I've recorded myself, children's songs was really my purpose. And I learned that from a few teachers here, and I began to see it. Those songs were coming from a deeper place. They were entertaining, but they were also teaching. They were teaching something. And it just made a lot of sense to me. So I'm very, very happy to be here with these fellow honorees, which are highly accomplished people. And I want to thank you, and I also want to say I'm very happy to be here, getting this kind of recognition from a school that I have the utmost regard for. Thank you. You've really touched me.
And now I'd like to call up Martin Vinnick, Adjunct Professor, Arts Administration Program.
Sarah Bolson Barnett. This year, as Teachers College celebrates its 125th anniversary, we are particularly mindful of the vital role played by enduring New York City cultural institutions and those who steward their fortunes during these economically challenged times. Your own exemplary efforts in service to the New York Botanical Garden bear testament to the combined power of a broad-based liberal arts background, a formal grounding in arts administration, and plain, unvarnished, innovative thinking. At Teachers College, you served as the Special English Coordinator for the International Symposium on Georgian Art, conducted with administrators from the Republic of Georgia. In your brief early career, you've also lent your considerable talents to the benefit of Playwrights Horizons Theatre, the Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum, a spectacular cultural redevelopment project in Canada, and the New York City Office of Parks and Recreation. From these experiences, you honed an ability to make connections between art and environmental science. At the Botanical Garden, your interdisciplinary outlook on horticulture has enabled you not only to engage a range of funders, but also to change the public face of the institution. Thanks to your efforts, events such as the Garden's Orchid Show, the Mother's Day Weekend Garden Party, the Wild Medicine Italian Renaissance Garden, and the Antiques Fair have attracted new and diverse audiences. As a result, after joining the Botanical Garden in 2008 as manager of Foundation Relations, you rose rapidly to take on your current position as Associate Vice President for Foundation Relations in 2011, reporting directly to the President and CEO. In that capacity, you've been responsible for raising more than $4 million each.
Well, I'm just very, very honored to be recognized by Teachers College Alumni Association with this early career award, especially alongside so many distinguished alumni. I have a lot to live up to in my career, certainly. I'd particularly like to recognize the family of Dr. Basu, who I had the privilege of meeting yesterday and today. At the Botanical Garden, I am very, very fortunate to work very closely alongside many talented science educators, and I know how inspired they would be by your daughter's career, as am I. So thank you. The Arts Administration program at Teachers College has truly made a profound impact on my life, and I'm very thankful for the opportunities that it's afforded me and the doors that it's opened for me. However, I am only one of the many recent graduates who work every day to make sure the arts and arts organizations continue to thrive. We are leaders in arts organizations and cultural organizations of every size in every country imaginable, and I really have to accept this award in recognition of all our accomplishments. I am very honored that Joan Jeffrey, who brought the ARAD program, as we call it, because at TC we like to abbreviate everything, so she brought the ARAD program to TC from Columbia School of the Arts in 1991 and led it for 22 years, and Martin Vinnick, who, thank you so much for those kind words, Martin. Martin was an early student of the program, a longtime professor in the program, one of my bosses, and my thesis advisor. So I am so thankful that they're here today. They have mentored me as they've mentored so many other students in the Arts Administration program who are now arts leaders in New York City and throughout the world. I'm also very fortunate to have many of my family members here today, and I especially have to thank my parents. You know, when you say you're going to be an arts administrator, many parents would be like, what's that? But they supported me from the very beginning, buying subscriptions to every single organization that I've ever worked for. So I thank them for everything that they've done for me over the years. And I also just really want to thank my husband, Michael, and my beautiful 7-month-old son, Jonah, who unfortunately is sick, so he couldn't be here today. But they love me unconditionally and motivate me to travel from Lower Manhattan to the Bronx every single day because they know how much I love what I do. So thank you again to the Alumni Council for this really special honor, and I am very proud to be a TC graduate and to represent the school and the New York City's cultural community. So thank you.
And now I'd like to call up Christopher Emden, Assistant Professor of Science Education.
Good afternoon. Before I read this, I just wanted to say that Jhumki Basu was my friend and collaborator, so I am especially humbled to be able to read the citation this afternoon. In Sreyashi Jhumki Basu's own words, her educational mission was premised on the belief that a diversity of youth should gain expertise in scientific knowledge and learn to think logically, investigate original questions, and innovate in ways that fulfill needs in the lives, community, and world. Jhumki lived by those words and fulfilled that commitment at every stage of her career. Today, then, rather than mourning a life cut tragically short of illness, we honor an astounding record of achievement somehow enacted in 31 short years. As an undergraduate at Stanford, she interviewed homeless children on the streets of Russia for her thesis, Targeting Children in Crisis, the Health of Street Children in Urban Post-Communist Russia, which she presented to UNICEF in Geneva, raising the issue of educational access. After graduating, she co-founded Discover, a summer math and science program for underprivileged teen-aged women in Palo Alto. Through Physics on the Move, she developed a physics curriculum for high schools in the Gauteng province of South Africa. And in New York City, where she earned a doctorate at Teachers College and joined the faculty of NYU with goals of bringing a greater number of young people from low-income and minority backgrounds to the sciences. And in particular, to change the perception of physics, she helped found the School for Democratic Leadership, where she personally mentored many young people and received a research fellowship from the Knowles Foundation to help new science teachers interpret and enact democratic science pedagogy. After her passing, Mary Bradbeck, dean of the NYU Steinhardt School of Culture, Education, and Human Development, called Jhumki a treasured member of our faculty who touched countless lives and left an indelible mark on our students and our school. Thanks to her loving parents and my adoptive parents, Deepak and Radha Basu, that legacy continues through the work of the Jhumki Basu Foundation, which promotes equity in science education through its grants to science teachers, awards scholarships to children in urban school districts, and brings together teachers to share ideas and best practices. For her shining example of a life dedicated to inquiry and exploration, and for her passionate efforts to open doors and minds for so many others, Teachers College and Chris Emden is beyond proud to present Sreyashi Jhumki Basu in absentia the 2013 Early Career Award.
Please pardon me. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, dear friend, adopted son. There is so much left to do, were some of the last words that our daughter shared with us in that very sprightly way the day before she died. On behalf of our intellectual, spirited, passionate, fun-loving, irreverent, just resilient, dedicated daughter, Deepak and I are deeply appreciative to Teachers College for this honor. And I know, we know, that she's cheering for her kids. Especially to me, she said, "Okay, Mommy, don't be crying all the time when I'm gone. There are lots of kids to take care of." And these words ring in my ears every day, every moment, because every week there is something about Jhumki, something funny, something new, something, as I said again, irreverent, and something very special that we are reminded of, or someone comes with a story. And because she told us that there is so much left to do, we feel, and her friends and her family of friends here who are with us today, we all feel absolutely obligated and feel she'll scold us if we didn't continue the work in democratic science teaching, particularly her passion for New York City kids. She would say, yeah, there was money all over the world for helping kids everywhere, but what about New York City kids in the Bronx, in Crown Heights? She came from Stanford to Teachers College. I have to share a little funny story. So she was sure this was the only place she wanted to come to. But she also applied to Harvard. And you know why? She just wanted to be able to turn them down. And she did. This is what I mean by irreverent. She came to Teachers College at 24, a few days before 9/11. And this young California girl of Indian heritage fell in love with New York and the people of New York. And what could be done here? Something developed in those days following 9/11, as she also helped with New York coming back to life, and what a wonderful way it did. She went on after that to get her PhD here. And just a few months after 9/11, in end of November, at 24 is when she was diagnosed with cancer. And we were so sure that she would come back. She had her surgery in California and that she would stay back there for her chemo. And she looked at us and she said, "What do you think? I'm a full-time patient? No way. I'm going back to New York. If you want to come and help me, that's fine. Otherwise, I'm going to just continue on." And she stayed at Whittier Hall. And there were many days we've stayed at Whittier Hall to help her. And we'd come once every 3 weeks. We had an apartment and spend a week with her for a chemo. And through that, developed this really resilient, very, very passionate about education. This child grew into a young lady who just did all kinds of things for 7 years. We've continued her work through the Jhumki Basu Foundation, and it's about bringing science, critical science thinking. She really believed that every child, whether they become a scientist or not, should have critical science thinking, because that is so important to being a citizen, to being a leader in life. And she wanted to bring that to every school, every child in New York City. And of course, starting and mainly with the kids who are the least served. And that's what the Jhumki Basu Foundation does, and the SciEd Innovators Fellowship, of which Kayla's here and representing the program, one of those wonderful science teachers from the Bronx. So far, we've touched 75 schools, and as Jhumki says, there is so much left to do, and there's so much left to do in the foundation, in SciEd Innovators. Every year, we have an annual day of just exhibiting the works of the kids from these schools. And that this year is on May 8th. So do come and be with us and share in this democratic science teaching celebration that we do with all the kids of New York City. With this, I would just turn it over to my husband to say a few words. And again, thank you all so very much.
thank you again. And I'd only like to add that on the 8th of May, when the Syed Innovators Expo and Symposium happens at NYU, we are releasing a biography of our daughter's life and legacy. It's titled Mission to Teach, and it'll be available in bookstores by the end of this month. But it's an encapsulation of all she did and the vulnerability, which is, everyone. She wasn't a perfect person, but she tried her best. And we live every moment through what she left us with, pretty much a mission for us to help the mission to teach. And thank you once again from the bottom of our hearts for this honor. It means a huge amount for all of us. Thank you.
Did you get this? Thank you, Radha and Deepak. And let's have one more round of applause for all of our award recipients today. Thank you. Thank you for joining on this very special occasion. And we look forward to receiving your nominations for future alumni who will join these ranks of distinguished alumni.